Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Øystein and I'm trying to become a bookworm. In this video today we're going to talk about Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. And why are we going to talk about this book? Well, because I'm starting to fall in love with this man and his writing. So, is it more fun to talk about books you like? Yes. So that's why. The book actually started out as a TV series. So Neil Gaiman wrote the TV series and then decided he wanted it to go in another direction. So we got this book. The TV series came out in 1996 and so did the first version of this book. This is actually a preferred text, and that's because Neil Gaiman felt that the original book left out quite a bit. It's mentioned in the book that Americans wouldn't understand the meaning of Oxford Street and what was being done there. So this edition contains all the Britishness that was left out in previous versions. I haven't read those, so I don't know what I'm missing. It's not that often that you get a book that was actually written for TV and then ends up being a novel. But this book sure has the signs of a book that was supposed to be in that way, because it's very filmic in the way it's written, and I very much enjoyed that because it's very plot driven, which I find is very cool. It makes the book feel very fast paced when you read it, and I think the reason for that is that it was a TV series before it became a book. Neil Gaiman states in the beginning that he was not happy with the TV series and how it became, so that's why the book is here. So let's get into the plot of this book. In the start of the book, we meet a young businessman called Richard Mayhew. He's also the main character. He's in a relationship with Jessica, who is a terrible, terrible girlfriend, which you really don't like when you read about her. She's really pushy, and Richard tries to do everything she says. And he also thinks that everything she says might be reasonable, or at least more reasonable than his own thoughts, at least. In lack of a better word, I would say that Richard is a very uncomfortable human being. He does not like being pushed around, but he is all the time. He does not like making decisions, and he is not that great at doing something with the decision Jessica makes for him. So he's not good at anything, it seems. Richard has one friend called Gary, and Gary is Richard's social life. One day, Richard and Jessica are going to eat dinner with Jessica's boss. This is a very important dinner that Richard has been told that he has to attend. Suddenly, they stumble upon a girl or woman Richard can't really decide, and he wants to help the girl. But Jessica wants to go to dinner, so what will it be? Jessica just says to him that she will never speak to him again if he tries to help this girl. Richard brings the girl home. She is called Door. Yes, like in a door. And she says that he is not to call up the hospital because they'll find me there. And the day after, two gentlemen, one really tall and big guy and one short guy, comes to the door, and they claim to be her brothers, even though they don't have the same name as the girl, or they don't have the same name as each other either. So Richard thinks that this is kinda strange. But they sort of go into the apartment where Door is, but they can't find her. And Richard starts to think that something is kinda weird here, even though he should have started thinking this a long time ago. A lot of things happen quite quickly in the start of the book, and Richard is said to go and fetch a guy that can help this girl home. Richard does so. When the girl is gone and he wakes up the next morning, nothing is really like it was. He goes into work, but no one really seems to notice him, and he wonders if Gary knows what's up, but Gary says that he doesn't know him. He goes home only to find out that the landlord is showing his apartment to someone new, and he tries to stop it, but it's for no use. He's suddenly a part of London below. So London above is the London that we're all used to, and London below is what's in the book. And I can't say much, or I won't say much about London below right now, only that it's a dark, dark place where dark things happened and nothing is really like you're used to. I think we'll go over to what I thought of the book instead, and if you're intrigued, you can read it yourself. I do recommend that, I can say already. I'll start off by saying that this book was kind of perfect for me to read right now. I was kind of in a reading slump, and this was what I needed. Neil Gaiman himself has said that he was trying to make a fairy tale for grown-ups, and I think he has done an excellent job of this. I got the same feeling when I read this book as when I've seen exciting fairy tale-like movies, and that is a really good thing. Some weeks ago I read high fantasy for the first time, and that was a thing I thought I would enjoy. One of the reasons why I thought I would enjoy it was because of the world building. And the world building didn't quite catch me. But the world building in this book, and maybe these kinds of books, are really, really easy to get into because you know part of the world. So in this book, the underground stations are known to you. I've visited London a couple of times, so I've been to many of the places in the book, and I know their significance to an extent. But this really helps me get into the novel and into the places they visit, and what I should expect from the places. And it's also described in such a good way in the book, so I instantly feel the feelings I think the book will want me to feel. That was a bad sentence, but I hope you get the gist. To sum that point up, I'm really happy it's set in London, and it's really fun to read about the London specific things set in context of this book. One of the really cool things about Neil Gaiman's books are the characters, and Richard Mayhew is maybe one of my favorite characters of all time, because he is so useless. He is useless in a way that sometimes when I read the book I think, this could have been me. And that is never a good thing when I read Neil Gaiman's books. I really love the descriptions of Richard Mayhew's everyday problems and relationship problems and how he deals with life, because he does it in such a terrible way. And I think that's enough for me to really like this book. With that being said about Richard, the other characters in the book are really capable, and that's also a part of the fun, because there's so many times in the book that people around Richard just tells him, you are going to die, and you're going to die soon. With no explanation or nothing, it's just apparent to them that this is such a useless man and he has no hope for the future. And I really love that because it's so understated in a way, but then really exaggerated. I think the difference between Richard and the other characters is one of the things that makes this book so fun, because he's so naive and the other people are so dystopian in their way of thinking, and yeah, you might say they are very realistic too. So that mix between the characters are also relatable and charming, I would say. The humor in the book and the way the humor is portrayed in the book is what gets me. I never laugh out loud when I read the book, but I chuckle quite a bit. When something funny happens in the book, it's never exaggerated in a way. Your mind will just make up the picture itself, and that's even funnier. And that's the thing I think this book does brilliantly. And that's probably what gets me when I read Neil Gaiman's books, because it's funny from the start. I only read about 10 pages of this book before I thought that, well, this is a book I'm going to love. And that's because it's so simplistic yet so funny. And everything that's being said is kinda humorous, whether you're the bad guy or you're the good guy, in the way you behave or the way you say things, or just the way you imagine the characters look at each other. When I finished the book, I thought, I love the writing, I love the author, I love the characters, I love the plot. And then I started thinking, but do I really like the book? And of course I like the book. But I often find myself in this situation that I've read a book that I really love. This is one of them. Just I said it 1,000 times. But the emotions I get are only good emotions. I never felt sorrow or anger or anything else. And that bothers me a bit when I speak about the book, because I would have enjoyed feeling other things as well, but I won't let that affect me. It's still a 5-star review from me. Have you read this book? Do you want to read this book? I surely recommend you read this book, because it's so much fun. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching this video. Bye!